Some observers, I think you can say that many of them are detractors of the president, are saying that Iran has sort of won the war, or at least seen its interests advanced by the fact that it is able to shut down, has been able to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. How do you assess that?
John, that's just absurd. Iran, under President Obama's leadership and President Biden's leadership, the weakness that we showed, the billions of dollars that we gave them, they had the full capacity to shut down that strait for decades now. President Trump has finally now just ripped the Band-Aid off and made clear we're no longer going to suffer under Iranian threats. We're not going to let them continue to build their nuclear program and have air defense systems. We're going to change fundamentally the capacity of the regime to inflict harm. And to your point about our allies, we've found some great allies. Our Emirati allies, our Middle Eastern friends. We've figured out that there are some who just won't be with us at the time that matters most. The Spanish in particular have behaved in a way that is just deeply disconnected from their own security, let alone their commitment to a partnership with the United States of America. We've watched, too, the other side figure this out. We was reporting today that the Chinese are shipping more missile systems in to Iran. We should interdict those ships. We've sort of gone shirts and skins on this thing, John. We know who our friends and partners are, and we know who they aren't. The United States is going to demonstrate that this will be an Iranian defeat, and I'm very confident President Trump's going to stay at this until we achieve that.
When you were Secretary of State under the President Trump's first administration, you had a sort of a list of requirements for Iran to re-enter the League of, the League of Civilized Nations. You wanted a full accounting of their nuclear program, abandon nuclear pursuits and enrichment, provide access to all the nuclear sites, proliferation of ballistic missiles had to stop, release all U.S. detainees. That's a big one. And the list goes on. How close would you say we are to achieving most or many of those goals with this latest action?
Yes, John, we had a list of 12 demands, but if you summarize them, they were just behave like a normal nation. That was our real ask. I think we're closer to achieving many of those objectives than we were even at the end of the president's first term. And we began this process with the Abraham Accords, building out a coalition that understood that the central problem in the region wasn't the conflict between Israel and Palestine, but rather was the Iranian regime. We then took out one of their senior leaders, General Soleimani, and now we've made even more progress towards that. As long as President Trump doesn't reward the Iranian behavior with money by allowing them to charge a toll or releasing funds, if we do those things, they'll just go rebuild, John, and that is after all we've done and the American lives that have been lost. If we were to permit that, that would be an enormous mistake. I can't imagine President Trump's going to head down that road, and in the end, we'll get much closer to the very demands that we made of Iran in the first term, and we'll achieve an enormous strategic victory for the United States of America in the end.
Mr. Secretary, I could talk to you for the rest of the hour, but we have to say goodbye. Appreciate your time today. Thank you. Former Secretary of State.
Yes,
He's
sir.
talking to bloodthirsty killers who have slaughtered 45,000 people who are demanding a better life, took a girl off a bus, 16, and beat her to death because she didn't wear a headscarf.
So you think the language is okay?
I think the outcome is what I'm looking for. And if you're talking to stone-cold homicidal maniacs, you need to speak the language they can understand. To all these people who want to criticize Trump, what did you do with Iran? He's the first guy to take this regime on. He's destroyed their nuclear capability. He's obliterated their missile program. We're not done yet. I hope we can end this through diplomacy. But I'll tell you this, to the Iranians, I just talked to Trump today. If you don't take this deal, you're going to regret it.
All right. One thing here, again, that the European Union or Europe as a whole can defend itself without the US, keep on dreaming, beloved.
Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO's a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. NATO is a paper tiger. Now, he's coming to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy. Secretary General is great. And Mark Rutte, he's a great person, but he's got, and you know, it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland. They don't want to give it to us, and I said, bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much.
I have not and won't divulge internal conversations. I will say that those of us within the intelligence community continue to provide the president with all of the best objective intelligence available to inform his decisions.
One of the things that I admire most about members of the millennial generation is their innate optimism. They're optimistic about their futures, their careers, their families. It reminds me of when I was young, before a life of whistleblowing beat it out of me. Still, there are some people who have such an ingrained need, a natural desire to do right, that they blow the whistle on myriad issues throughout the course of their lives, no matter what the personal cost. I'm John Kiriakou. Welcome to the Whistleblowers. An Israeli psychologist once told me that whistleblowers have a far better defined sense of right and wrong than does the general population. Some issues are just clearly black and white, right and wrong. Oftentimes, the general public doesn't understand that. Certainly, it's no surprise that sometimes governments don't understand that. But it describes our next guest. Whether it's international banking, commercial real estate, or even Bitcoin, there's been something to say. Our guest today is Pascal Najadi. Pascal was born and educated in Switzerland. He worked first in public relations before moving into the management of mutual funds. From 1993 until 2003, he served as a management board member at Dresdner Bank in London and was in charge of capital markets covering Central Europe, Central Asia, the Russian Federation, Africa, and the Middle East. After the assassination in Malaysia of his father, prominent Bahraini banker Hussein Najadi, Pascal, a veteran of the Swiss Air Force, began his whistleblowing, and it has covered the gamut. We're happy to have him with us today. Pascal, welcome to the show.
Hi, John. I greet you. Greetings to the United States, all you wonderful people and the audience, and of course, all the people around the world who are following you, and there's a tremendous amount of them, I learned.
Thank you very much for that. Pascal, I would like to begin with what might have been a trigger for your whistleblowing. You come from a very important Bahraini family, and your Swiss side is equally important. You're a direct descendant of a former Swiss president, as a matter of fact. You were headed toward quite a predictable career in international banking, and that's how things started out for you. When and why did that change? What exactly was the trigger?
The duty call came when I found out what they have done to us since 2020. And by the way, I have observed as a Swiss not only Switzerland going down the drain. Unfortunately, I had to observe, and that saddens me a lot, and the United States of America going down the drain and becoming insecure. The last what the world wants is an insecure United States. We need a strong, healthy, wealthy, self-competent, not warmongering United States to keep peace. It's the way your president is managing things, President Trump, that is.
War in this context and in pursuit of peace is necessary.
They're not the bully of the Middle East anymore.